Bonjour à tous, I'm your host, Alistair. We often associate the word investing to a monetary value. Well, although that's true, but it's not always the case. And I think a lot of the times we miss the mark by not showcasing the full spectrum of what an investment is. And so in this video, we'll talk about a few investments that I think you should be doing to better yourself as a person and ultimately maybe lead to a monetary return. I've always said that one of the best gifts that you can give anyone is options. And having a second citizenship or a second passport gives you tremendous options. I'll give you an example. Let's just assume you're a US citizen and you're trying to enter into the European market, whether it be local or regional. You don't get the best interest rates. You may not have better access to deductions. You may be subject to higher cost of starting business. You may be subject maybe to higher taxes. You may be subject to a whole lot of things that EU residents may not go through. So ultimately, it costs you time and it costs you money. The second big benefit of having a second citizenship or a second passport is the ability to travel. Listen, unless you're an immigrant, you really cannot understand the value of the ability to get up and go. Let's just say where you live is going through a political turmoil or even going through a catastrophic war. If you don't have papers, you cannot move as easily. You might say to yourself, all right, just go as a refugee. You could be denied. And then what? So having the ability to pack up and go is a huge advantage. It gives you more options than the average person. But now I want you to combine the monetary value of having a second citizenship or a passport and the ability to move about. Combine those two together, and it gives you a whopping big punch of an option. You could set up a small little operation on the other side of the continent, so to speak, have a bank, put all the revenue there, and then you have two places that are financially separated, financially independent, with the ability to move about without any questions. That's amazing. Don't forget that citizenships can be passed down, usually not just to your kids, but to whoever you adopt and to their kids' kids and kids' kids and kids' kids. It's a generational gift. Okay, I know what you might be thinking, that you might be too old to learn a second language, and that is just not true. The brain is very, very, very adaptable. Yes, it's harder, but it's not impossible. Yes, maybe it will be time consuming, but it's not impossible. Let me sell this to you as a sound investment. When you learn a second language, your brain has to suppress your primary language. That is quite difficult to do. Not only that, your brain has to learn nuances and grammar and how to form sentences in this new language. Very difficult to do. The benefits of that, of learning a second language, you're less likely to have later on in life brain-related disorders. So there's a health benefit to learning a second language. But let's go to the social aspect of it. It gives you a different point of view. It allows you to understand how another culture might be thinking. It allows you to adapt and allows you to pivot easier. It allows you to see things in a different light, which ultimately affects the way you critically think. It gives you a better picture of the world. Intelligence really is taking all bits of information that you know, putting it together in a way that makes sense to you. So the more pieces of the puzzle you accumulate, the smarter you become and the better decisions you make, not only in the short run, but in the long run. And again, that is a generational gift you can give to your kids. Learn a second language. As you learn that second language, you're going to get feedback in terms of how the culture itself works from the source of where you're learning that language, whether it be online or at the teacher. It's never going to be the full picture. So it's important, as you are getting to understand this new language or languages that you're learning, that you actually travel to the location where that language is spoken and see how the people live. Culture appropriate, mimic it. How do they live? How do they dance? How do they laugh? How do they set the table? How do they eat? How do they socialize? How are their weeks? How do they get sad? How do they fight? How do they debate? How do they build? How do they destroy? What makes them tick? All within the context of learning. Because as you are understanding the way the culture works and learning the language, it will again fortify your understanding of the situation. And because you are going to get up and go to the location, it becomes a travel situation. Oh wow, my choice of words, apologies, but it becomes a travel situation. And it will enrich your perception that much more. And that's why it's important, because learning a language is great. Learning a second language is amazing, but it's not the full picture until you really understand how those people live and conduct their lives. Okay, I'll be honest. This next one could be because I'm a little biased as a gardener, because I love my yard. But it's something I have noticed that people don't use at all, especially here in the US. Your yard. Especially the front yard. Not just for the barbecue time when it's really hot outside, like all year round. You have all this land, or maybe you don't have a lot of land. Use it. Go outside. Do your office work outside if it's the weather permits. Right? It's important, and let me sell it to you. Hold on one second. For example, there are plenty of studies that show just sunlight itself, just getting bathed in sunlight, even if it's winter sunlight, has benefits for your mood. But also, being outside, hearing the birds chirp, seeing nature, seeing the neighbor, interacting with the grass, interacting with the pavement, all of those sensory stimulations also allows you to pay attention to yourself. Not yourself, but to your state of self. It's therapeutic, and people don't utilize it a lot. And we live in a society where we've become a lot more isolated. And who knows, by being outside more, you get to meet your neighbors more, or talk to your neighbors a lot more. And it's not something I've noticed also, the front yard is never used. That's land that you could use. You don't have to plant evergreens. You could plant something that is functional. You could just go outside and use your yard. So, investing in things that are visually appealing. Maybe you're saying to yourself, that sounds expensive, I don't want to spend the money. Not at all. Something does not have to be expensive to be visually appealing. It does not necessarily have to be expensive to be functional. So what I mean by that is the environment you're in, whether it be at home or even outside, make it look visually appealing according to your taste. And if you factor in everything we talked about from the start of the video, the culture experience, learning the language, traveling, using your yard more, you're going to accumulate experiences. You're going to see things that maybe you didn't know you were interested in. And then you can use those inspiration to create an environment where you, at your house, that is visually appealing to maybe your taste or your new taste of things. Let me tell you why that's important. It creates clarity of mind. When you walk into a space that is full of clutter, hoarder status, forget about cleanliness, just cluttered, you can't think straight. When you walk into a space that is neat, orderly, it's calming, it's soothing. When you walk into a place that has a lot of light come in, or even that has mood lights set up, it creates a mood, it creates a state of mind. And that's how you can manipulate how you walk into a space that is conducive to your creativity, that is conducive for you to absorb knowledge, interest, or even interactions. You don't need to go and get an interior designer. If you have the funds, sure, go ahead and do it. But if you don't need to. Just research, look in the magazine, look at the catalog, see what you like, try to replicate a little bit, but keep your place tidy and visually appealing. It will give you clarity of mind. As always, thank you so much for being this far. I appreciate you more than you know. Press like, subscribe if you haven't done so, and let's go to the last one, which is, there is this idea that to be happy, things need to fall into place. It needs to be at the right moment, right time. It needs to look this way, be this way, feel this way, and therefore, conclusion, I'll be happy. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. Happiness is something that you have to work at. Happiness is something that you have to actively put effort in. It's not something that is automatic. It's not something that is a result of. It's something that is full contingency with your mindset, which is entirely connected. I apologize for the tongue part, but entirely connected with your surroundings and what you built around. And so I say all this to say, it's important to take the time out of your day, and it needs to be something to work on every day. Carve out time out of your day and spend quality time with the people that matter in a priority setting. So there it is. Important, unconventional, untraditional, unadvertised investments that I think you should be doing in order to reap better quality fruits from your labor. Thank you so much. I am your host, Alistair.